Beneath the Midian desert sky, golden sands shimmer like buried secrets. A question echoes. Can a biblical woman find grace amid forgotten pain? Dinah, Jacob's daughter, steps from history's shadows, carrying an untold story of trauma and faith. Her suffering challenges divine justice, yet the light of redemption awaits. Join us to explore this mysterious spiritual journey. Subscribe to our channel to walk with Dinah, seeking grace in the desert of life. Dawn blazes across the Midian desert, where the first sunlight kisses golden dunes, as if rousing stories buried by time. Beneath a vast sky, Jacob's nomadic tent stands silent, their canvas flapping in the early breeze. At the heart of this tale, Dinah, a young woman with eyes aglow with faith, steps from her father's tent's shade. She is Jacob's youngest daughter, child of a quiet man tasked with leading his clan through harsh lands. Dinah, with an innocent heart and a soul yearning to explore, doesn't yet see that this desert is not just a refuge, but a stage for spiritual trials awaiting her. Dinah is unlike her brothers, Simeon, Levi, or the others, consumed with herding livestock or debating the clan's future. She loves to wander, her bare feet feeling the sand's warmth, her eyes tracing distant caravans crossing Hivite lands. Something in her, a pure curiosity, a belief that the world holds the goodness God promised, sets her apart. Yet that innocence, gleaming like light in the desert, draws unwanted gazes. Far off from a hidden corner of this new land, Shechem, son of a Hivite chief, has noticed her. His eyes hold not kindness, but ambition and desire, like a venomous wind poised to sweep through Dinah's life. Jacob, her father, seems blind to the undercurrents forming. He sits in his tent, weathered hands unrolling parchment, his mind lost in prayers and the duties of a patriarch. A man of faith, he bears scars from past struggles, done that have made him cautious, sometimes too withdrawn. Dinah's brothers, especially Simeon and Levi, are different. Young warriors, they're quick to defend the family's honor with swords. But they too overlook their sister, who wanders carefree on the edge of safety and peril. That morning, Dinah leaves the tent earlier than usual. Draping a thin cloak, she steps from her family the shadow, heading toward the Hivite market nearby. The chatter, spice scents, and bleating sheep call to her like an invitation. She doesn't know each step draws her closer to a fateful moment. In the dawn's gentle light, she smiles, believing the world still holds room for a girl's dreams. But the Midian desert isn't only a place of light. Shadows lurk in human hearts, and Shechem, with dark intent, watches her from afar. A sense of unease creeps in, though Dinah can't name it. The desert wind carries a chilling whisper as if God sends a warning. Yet she walks on, her heart full of hope, unaware her innocence is about to face a horrific trial. Dinah's story is more than a girl's journey. It's a spiritual anthem of tested faith, a family on the brink of fracture, and divine justice waiting to unfold. This is the start of an emotional saga where light and darkness will clash, guiding listeners to profound questions of courage and grace. The Midian desert, with its harsh beauty and secrets, becomes the backdrop for an untold story. Dinah, the girl of faith, enters a new chapter where her innocence will be tested by forces beyond her control. Can she hold fast to faith amid the coming storm? Can Jacob's family overcome the wounds awaiting them? The answers lie ahead, and this journey promises to touch the hearts of American audiences who cherish justice, courage, and second chances. Darkness cloaks the Midian desert, but the Hivite market blazes with torchlight, bustling like a world that never sleeps. Vibrant stalls, laughter mingling with bleating sheep, and the rich scent of spices fill the air. Amid the chaotic throng of travelers, merchants, and locals, Dinah, a young woman with a pure heart, weaves through narrow dirt paths. Her thin cloak flutters, her bright eyes reflecting the flames, unaware that her radiance draws a dangerous shadow. Shechem, son of the Hivite chief, lurks in a market corner, his cold eyes tracking Dinah's every step. No stranger here, he wields the power and arrogance of a pampered heir, accustomed to seizing what he desires. But tonight his target isn't gold or livestock. It's Dinah, her innocent beauty and deep faith a prize in his dark mind. To him, she's not a person, but a trophy. As clouds veil the moon, Shechem strikes. He intercepts Dinah, dragging her into a shadowed corner where the market's din can't drown her terror. In that moment, her innocence is crushed, a deep wound carved into her soul. Shechem, with remorseless cruelty, steals her purity, leaving her in speechless agony. When Dinah returns to Jacob's tents, her steps are heavy, as if the desert sand pulls her down. Her torn cloak hangs limp, her eyes vacant, no longer the curious girl who smelled at dawn. She enters the tent, but no words escape her. Jacob, her father, sits by a small fire, his gaze lost in deep thoughts. He notices her change, but instead of rising to embrace her, he bows his head in silence. Perhaps fear of what's to come, or a faith tested by helplessness, holds him back. Jacob's silence, like an unseen blade, cuts deeper into Dinah's pain. She stands alone among loved ones, feeling the world has forsaken her. Meanwhile, word of the outrage reaches Simeon and Levi, Dinah's brothers. Returning from the pastures, their rugged faces burn with rage. Simeon, the eldest, grips his sword, eyes blazing as if to scorch the earth. Levi, younger but no less fierce, mutters of their clan's honor, sacred above all. By the fire, their eyes flash with fury as they whisper plans of vengeance. No room for forgiveness lies in their hearts, only justice, even if bought with blood. They glance at Dinah, now curled in the tent's corner, and vow to make Shechem and the Hivites pay. But Dinah, shattered, remains silent. She clutches herself, clinging to the fading embers of faith, her once bright eyes dimming. Outside, the desert wind howls, fierce and cold, as if God himself sends a warning. The sound echoes through the tents, piercing the hearts of Jacob's family. It's a divine whisper reminding them that justice belongs not only to men, but to the Creator. Simeon and Levi, blinded by wrath, hear nothing. Vengeance seems their only path. Yet Dinah, in her stillness, senses the sign. She lifts her tear-streaked face to the starry sky, where glimmers shine like promises of grace. But in this moment, that grace feels impossibly distant. Dinah's story at this juncture becomes a lament of injustice and trauma. She, a biblical woman, is thrust into darkness by Shechem's brutality and her family's silence. Yet within her pain, a faint spiritual spark glimmers, a reminder that God is present even when humanity turns away. This conflict is not just a family's tale, but a call to American audiences who cherish divine justice and courage. Dinah, though wounded, remains a symbol of faith, and her story guides listeners toward a new horizon, where redemption may yet bloom in the harsh desert. Darkness envelops the Midian desert, with only flickering firelight in Jacob's tent. Like fragile hopes against a looming storm, the small fire crackles, casting trembling shadows on the canvas. where the family gathers in suffocating tension. Dinah huddles in a corner, her torn cloak clutching her body, shielding wounds not just of flesh, but of soul. Her eyes, once radiant with faith, are dulled by pain, yet a faint spark of resilience glimmers within. Across from her, Simeon and Levi, her brothers, stand together, hands gripping sword hilts, their rugged faces ablaze with rage. Jacob, their father, sits near the fire, his gaze adrift, wrestling between faith and fear of what's to come. The air in the tent is heavy, as if the desert itself holds its breath, awaiting a fateful choice. Dinah, though shattered, senses the fury igniting in her brothers. She overhears their whispers, a plan to avenge Shechem, who stole her innocence. Simeon, his voice like thunder, speaks of clan honor, demanding blood for blood. Levi nods, his eyes flashing unrelenting resolve. They're ready to lead their kin to the Hivite city, turning rage into cold steel. But Dinah, in her silence, feels another strength rising, not the strength of violence, but courage born of faith. Taking a deep breath, she rises and steps toward the fire. Its flickering light bathes her face, and in that moment, a faint glow seems to surround her, as if God touches her soul, granting wisdom beyond her pain. With a trembling but steady voice, Dinah breaks the silence. She doesn't beg for pity, but for something no one in the tent expects: forgiveness. Facing Simeon and Levi, the brothers she loves, she pleads for them to stop. She says vengeance won't erase her pain, only drag their family deeper into darkness. Her words, though frail, carry the power of grace, like a gentle breeze across the desert, reminding them that divine justice lies not in swords, but in rising above hatred. Jacob lifts his head, his eyes flickering with surprise. Yet he remains silent, as if awaiting a sign from God. But Simeon and Levi, their hearts clouded by wrath, cannot hear their sister. They turn away, their gazes cold, and leave the tent into the night, carrying their plan of retribution. That night, under a faint moon, Simeon and Levi lead Jacob's men to the Hivite city. Their swords show no mercy. Shechem, the cruel offender, and many of his kin fall in a bloody slaughter. The massacre is swift, but its aftermath cuts a fresh wound into Jacob's family. When news reaches the tent, Dinah collapses to her knees, hands trembling over her face. She weeps not for Shechem, but for her brothers, led astray by hate, and for a family now teetering on collapse. Yet in her anguish, she feels that faint glow still encircling her, a reminder that God's grace hasn't abandoned her, even in the darkest hour. Dinah's act, though it couldn't halt the violence, testifies to quiet courage. She, a biblical woman, chose to stand, not with physical might, but with wisdom and faith. While her brothers sought justice through blood, she sought it through forgiveness, making her an outsider in her own family. Her story, at this moment, becomes a call to American audiences who cherish second chances in the power of belief. Dinah is not just a victim of injustice, but a beacon of hope, proving that even when the world turns away, grace's light can guide the way. The Midian desert, with its cold winds and flickering fires, bears witness to a painful yet profound chapter. Dinah's courage, though unable to change Shechem's fate or her brother's plans, plants a seed of hope. Can Jacob's family find a path to reconciliation? Will divine justice speak? The answers lie ahead. And Dinah's journey touches listeners' hearts, igniting faith in the power of forgiveness and courage. The Midian desert lies still after the bloody storm. Cold winds sweep through, carrying the scent of smoke and lingering pain from Simeon and Levi's slaughter. The Hivite city is now rubble, and Jacob's family stands at a fateful crossroads. Under a moonless sky, their tent becomes a silent arena where invisible wounds cut deeper than spilled blood. The fire has died, only a few glowing embers reflecting strained faces. Dinah sits alone, her tattered cloak clutching her body, her eyes bearing pain but glinting with resolute light. Jacob, the father, faces his sons, his weathered face stern, his trembling hands gripping his staff. Simeon and Levi, fresh from vengeance, lack their fiery zeal, their eyes hollow, as if their own actions have consumed them. Jacob breaks the silence, his voice low but sharp, rebuking his sons. He speaks of the peril they have brought, hostility from neighboring tribes, God's anger at their violence. His words are like sword strikes, piercing Simeon and Levi's pride, but they bow their heads, offering no reply. Jacob, who once wrestled with God in the dark, now wrestles with his own faith. He glances at Dinah, but his eyes hold not comfort, only helplessness. Her pain, his son's brutality, and his own silence form a vortex of guilt, pushing the family toward collapse. But Dinah, in that moment, is no longer the broken girl. She rises, stepping toward her father, her bare feet touching the cold earth. Embers cast light on her face, and once more a faint glow seems to envelop her, as if God himself is present, upholding her. With a trembling yet powerful voice, Dinah confronts Jacob. She doesn't accuse or weep, but poses a piercing question about divine justice. If God is just, why has our family let hatred lead? Why did you stay silent when I needed you most? Her words are lightning, tearing through the night, stunning Jacob, lifting Simeon and Levi's heads, and thickening the tense air. Dinah questions not just her father, but the essence of faith. Can justice exist when forgiveness is forgotten? Jacob, for the first time, has no answer. He bows his head, hands clutching his staff as if seeking something solid. But in that silence, a miracle unfolds. That night, as the family slips into uneasy sleep, Jacob dreams. A radiant light fills his vision, and a voice speaks, not to condemn, but to remind of grace. Dinah appears not as a victim, but as a flame of faith, guiding the family through darkness. The dream answers Dinah's silent prayers, offered in lonely nights. When Jacob wakes, sweat beading his brow, he knows God has spoken, not through swords or blood, but through his daughter's wisdom and courage. This moment is the story's climax, where inner and outer conflicts collide. Dinah, a biblical woman, rises above her pain to become a voice of divine justice. Her act, confronting her father, questioning faith, testifies to the power of belief and forgiveness. Jacob's dream, a beacon of redemption, reveals God's grace never abandons, even when humans stray. For American audiences who cherish justice and second chances, this story reminds us that redemption comes not from violence, but from hearts daring to stand, to believe in something better. The Midian desert, with its harsh silence, witnesses a spiritual turning point. Dinah, though wounded, kindles a flame of hope, drawing her family closer to God's light. But will Jacob find the courage to listen? Can this family heal its wounds? Dinah's journey, with its profound questions and divine vision, beckons listeners onward to explore the path to redemption and reconciliation. Dawn breaks over the Midian desert, the first sunlight slipping through dunes, as if to soothe wounds left by darkness. Jacob's family, once on the brink of collapse, prepares to depart, folding tents and readying livestock for a new journey. Golden sands shimmer, but cannot hide the scars of pain. Dinah's trauma, Simeon and Levi's wrath, Jacob's anguished silence. Yet amid this harsh scene, a gentle breeze stirs, carrying hope's breath, as if God himself whispers comfort. Dinah, once deeply wounded, stands among her family, no longer cowering in shadows but radiating a quiet strength, nurtured by faith and forgiveness. Dinah, in a cloak newly mended by her mother, walks slowly beside her father. Jacob, once lost in helplessness, now bears a changed gaze, that of a father who found his way back through a sacred dream. The night before, when light in his vision revealed Dinah, he understood divine justice lies not in vengeance, but in healing and forgiveness. He looks at his daughter, no longer a victim, but a flame guiding the family through darkness. Dinah, though sparing in words, has become the soul of reconciliation. She doesn't blame her brothers or resent her father, but embraces her pain, transforming it into a bridge mending broken hearts. Her forgiveness, like a cool stream in the desert, quenches the family's thirst for hatred. As Jacob's caravan begins to move, Dinah glances back at the Midian desert one last time. Here she lost her innocence, but found grace. She recalls nights kneeling by the tent, praying through tears, and how God answered, not with dazzling miracles, but with strength within her. The faint glow that once surrounded her now melds with the dawn, a promise her faith was seen. Jacob, walking beside, rests a hand on her shoulder, a simple yet profound gesture. It's the first time he's touched her since the ordeal, and in that moment, they feel an invisible bond restored of family, faith, and redemption. Dinah's story doesn't end in sorrow, but opens a new horizon where courage and faith overcome trauma. She, a biblical woman, proves that even the forgotten can light the world with forgiveness. For American audiences who cherish justice and second chances, Dinah's journey is a profound reminder. In today's world, where invisible wounds persist from injustice, violence, or loved ones' silence, we can learn from her. She teaches that forgiveness isn't weakness, but a courageous act, requiring a heart big enough to hold both pain and hope. She invites us to extend second chances, not just to others, but to ourselves. As Jacob's caravan fades beyond the dunes, Dinah's image under the dawn becomes an enduring symbol. She is not just Jacob's daughter, but the voice of the wounded, the forgotten who still choose to rise, to believe in grace. This story, with its complexity and beauty, is a gift to listeners, a call to reflect on faith's power today. Let Dinah inspire you to forgive, to heal, to trust that light follows darkness. Dinah's journey closes, but her message echoes, living on in listeners' hearts. Share this story with those who need it most, those seeking hope, justice, and second chances. Subscribe to our channel to explore more untold biblical stories that touch hearts and ignite faith. Together we can spread grace's light right here, right now, across America and beyond.